It is a massive season ahead for the Buffalo Bills, as it might be their last chance to get it right with Josh Allen. That and more on today's edition of Locked On NFL.
The new Locked On NFL. The madman Tyler Rowland is your double shot of NFL espresso, with the Locked On local experts on every major story. Get ready, Rowland is revving up. Locked On NFL starts now. Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Football fans, welcome into the Locked On NFL podcast, bringing you a double dose of the NFL's biggest stories with help from our local experts that know your favorite teams like no one else. I am your host, the madman, Tyler Rowland, joined today by Locked On NFL expert, the Data Queen, Michelle Majuk. On today's episode, we are going to break down the Thursday night preseason slate. It is week 3 of the preseason, the final week, and happy to kind of put this week behind us so we can get towards the regular season, but there are a lot of teams playing on Thursday night, and we need to keep our eye on them. The Battle of LA is taking place. Deshaun Watson is going to be out after being announced the starter, but it's the other quarterback who actually needs to play. But we start with a conversation about the Buffalo Bills, and the Buffalo Bills will be playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, two teams that I find incredibly fascinating this year. But I look at the Buffalo Bills, and all I can think of is this is like their last chance before the heat really turns up with Josh Allen. He hasn't got there. They make a coaching change, and they promote Joe Brady. I think that Jim Leonard and Joe Brady together could ultimately be a better combo, but man, the expectations are as high as possible, and it's going to be hard to leave people satisfied without going deep into the playoffs.
What else do you think that Josh Allen can do, though, in the playoffs? Like, I don't know what heat you can really put on him. It's been the defense that always just falls apart in the playoffs for whatever reason. Like, and hopefully that'll be better without Sean McDermott. I mean, that was his side of the ball, right? Yeah. And I think that's a big reason they had to move on from him. But I mean, Allen has already averaged the most career playoff offensive yards per game in NFL history among guys that start at least 10 playoff games. Like, I don't know what else you want from him. There's never been a playoff game where I'm like, they lost that game because Josh Allen, you know, maybe their first one against the Texans when in 2019, when Allen was still kind of all over the place and would just throw the ball away randomly to the defense. But since he's really taken off, there's never like a time where I'm like, wow, Josh Allen let the team down. It's always the defense. I want to see this defense look way better this year. But the thing is, they normally look good in the regular season, and then they fall apart in the postseason.
That is part of my big picture conversation about the Bills. Is it's just such a difficult thing to have a good season in Buffalo. Like, I don't know what a good season looks like short of get to the AFC Championship game and lose and say that you got one step further. In the first year of Joe Brady and Jim Leonard, you got one step forward. But if the defense goes out there and gives up 30 points and they lose in the AFC Championship game, like, are people going to be happy? I don't know.
No, they're not. I mean, at this point, it's Super Bowl or bust for the Bills. Now, they do have a little leeway this year because it is the first year with Joe Brady, right? Like, if it was still Sean McDermott, it would be like, what are we doing here? If they make it to the AFC Championship and lose in a close game, like, they're not going to get killed for it. But I don't think fans will think this is a good season for them, right? Like, they've been waiting for another Super Bowl appearance for over 30 years now. I mean, I think their last time was the year I was born in 1990. I think it may have been 1992. I was born in 1991, but either way, they got to get to the Super Bowl. And again, like, I don't know what else Josh Allen can do. He has 8 playoff wins under his belt in his career so far. That's the most by any quarterback without a Super Bowl appearance in NFL history. Like, the next most is Phillip Rivers and Danny White and Mark Brunell with 5. So he has 3 more wins already. And this he still has a long time of his career. He already has the most wins by 3 of any quarterback not to appear in the Super Bowl. I can't put this on Allen.
And that is why the pressure is going to be so high, because if they can't get it done with this new coaching staff, you wonder, can we ever get it done here? And then you wonder if Josh Allen considers potentially going elsewhere. And look, it's the first year of Joe Brady, first year of Jim Leonard. It's very unlikely that all the heat will come down on them, but it will come down on their general manager, Brandon Beane, as our guys over at Locked On Bills talked about recently.
Is you've seen people start to shift from bucket 2 to bucket 3. And they're all of a sudden going, well, maybe Brandon Beane doesn't get all the benefit of the doubt, right? Maybe he's had enough things go wrong. There hasn't been enough change that maybe now I'm a situationalist. Maybe now I'll believe it when I see it. I have concerns until proven otherwise. And that shifts the general tenor of the entire fan base a little bit more towards skepticism. And I think that's what we notice. So that's kind of my overarching view on it and why the tenor and the tone has changed.
And when we look at some of the pieces that they added, like a Bradley Chubb, for example, like a DJ Moore, for example, these are big swings to try to add to this roster and make it good enough. So if those moves don't work out, and that's part of the reason, then Brandon Beane could be a guy who's out of a job as they look to keep Josh Allen happy in some way and make him feel like they're trying.
Yeah, and honestly, with the DJ Moore trade, a lot of people felt like they overpaid for him, right? Like sending a second-round pick for DJ Moore at his age with his production kind of falling off. A second-round pick felt steep. And then looking at Brandon Beane's first-round draft picks, or at least like not even first round, but like the first guy he drafted in drafts lately, like Maxwell Harrison was a disappointment last year. I actually do expect him to have a really good second year if he can stay healthy. Keon Coleman, who they took first in 2024, has been a huge bust. Dalton Kincaid, their first-round pick in 2023, hasn't lived up to expectations. Elam, is he still even on the team?
No.
No, he's not, right? Their first round pick in 2022.
Yeah.
So a lot of misses early for Brandon Beane. Now, he has been able to find some good guys in the middle of drafts and hit on some of them, but you can't be missing on so many early draft picks.
Yeah. At some point, the aim is going to move over to Brandon Beane, and it's going to be like, all right, what are we going to do next here to change things? Because you don't have a lot of options left after the moves they made this offseason. But the team they're playing, the Pittsburgh Steelers, it's way less high-level drama, in my opinion. Like, I don't see the Steelers as a Super Bowl contender. They'll be a scrappy team with a competitive roster and all that. I find interest with the Steelers with their young quarterback situation. And honestly, it looked like it might have resolved itself last week. I wouldn't say that Drew Allar or Will Howard played well, but Howard definitely played worse. And as the younger player who was taken later in the draft, it looks like they're committed to Mason Rudolph. I don't like that. But if that's the case, I think Drew Allar is the guy. But I'm curious to see him continue to battle it out in the preseason. It makes it fun to watch.
No, it does. And Will Howard, even in that first preseason game, like these two young guys were getting a lot of hype, and Howard and Allar. And I didn't think Will Howard actually looked good. Like he had that one good drive to end the first half, but the defense was in prevent defense, right? He had wide open throws available to him to do that last, 2-minute drill. And that's the only time he looked even like he looked good on that drive. Don't get me wrong. The rest of the drives, he couldn't get going whatsoever. Drew Allar actually did look really good in that week 1 preseason game. Week 2, yeah, Howard looked really, really bad. I would rather them stick with Drew Allar if it comes down to one or the other staying on the team. I think he has more upside. I don't think either of them are the future of this franchise, but I do think Allar at least offers them a little bit more upside than Will Howard. And then in terms of Mason Rudolph, I mean, I guess because they have Aaron Rodgers, they think maybe Mason Rudolph can hold the front down if Rodgers has to miss a couple games better than these two young guys. But Mason Rudolph, I mean, also, he's definitely not the future of your franchise. So I don't know.
I understand the logic, even if I disagree with the logic. Like, I get why the Steelers would prioritize Mason Rudolph as the backup. I get why they think that way. I don't agree with you, Steelers. I do not agree. And that's really all that it comes down to. But very excited to watch those young quarterbacks play, figure out who they're going to go with. I'm with you there. I think Allar definitely has more natural talent. But we saw a quarterback decision get made this week in Cleveland with Deshaun Watson being the starter. I didn't agree with that decision, but I do agree with what they're doing with Watson in this final preseason game. But I'm looking at the other side of the ball to the New England Patriots, and I want to see some change over there. Do want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Indeed. When workplace chaos hits and you need the right hire, Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps connect employers with candidates who match specific needs like skills, certifications, and location. So less time gets spent searching and more time gets spent finding the right fit. People are finding quality hires on Indeed right now. In the minute that I've been talking to you, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. wide. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, that's a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help give your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support my show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? That's a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. All right, Michelle, let's continue today's edition of Locked On NFL. Again, we got the preseason slate ahead of us on Thursday night, week 3, capping this thing off on tomorrow's Locked On NFL. Me and the goods, Joe Goodberry, will go over the weekend slate ahead of us as most of the teams are playing on Friday or Saturday. But another game that I'm watching on Thursday night is the Cleveland Browns against the New England Patriots. And I know that I am typically hey, they need to play. You need to get those guys out there and play more. But Deshaun Watson's not going to play in the final preseason game for the Browns. And like I said before our small break, I did not agree with Deshaun Watson being the starting quarterback. I still don't agree with it. But he has played a lot this preseason. So I'm kind of to the point where he's probably played enough, and I can't really criticize the Browns for that.
That's fine. I mean, he hasn't played well, so you'd think they'd want to get him out there to get even more reps. Again, like, he hasn't played since 2024, so I don't think playing, a half of a game last week and a couple drives the week prior just means, oh, he's set. It's like, it's been a while since he's been out there, and he's been bad. It's like for a long time now. So I do think it's silly. He's not going to play. I do think also maybe they're worried that he's going to look bad and then get more hate for him starting. But then also, what if Shedeur starts in this game and he looks really good? You're going to get hate then too. They really didn't have a good option. I'm not saying Shedeur Sanders deserved to be the starter, right? It's just, what do you have with Deshaun Watson? And I do think once they have a losing record, in the middle of the season, we're going to see Sanders. Like, what do you think the probability is that Deshaun Watson actually lasts as the starter all year long?
0%. I think there's 100% chance we see all three of those Browns quarterback. Taylor Green, throw him in there too by the end. Like, I think that's likely. A lot of Browns fans I've seen have like a tinfoil hat theory where they're going to start Watson in the first 2 weeks because they're away games. And then when they come back home, they'll go to Sanders in week 3 and be like, all right, we tried. Go to the owner and be like, see, I know he's making a lot of money, but he's terrible. Like, we need to go to the other guy. And I feel bad for Browns fans because at the end of the day, there's just like a dark cloud over the organization when Watson's involved. And my guy Spencer German from Locked On Browns talked about how this whole situation has kind of brought up some old wounds.
And there's so much reaction and vitriol about the decision, because this like reopens all the wounds. It was easy last year to just kind of like see what last year was going to be and kind of try to enjoy the season because Deshaun Watson was going through his rehab. He wasn't part of the plan last year. And so the fans weren't constantly reminded about his presence. Now he's right front and center. He's the starting quarterback of this football team. And so for a lot of fans, that reopens this wound that had that still hasn't even fully healed over. And it's just bleeding out again. So I understand from that standpoint why this is such an emotional decision for fans.
I mean, he literally told the fans he hated them.
He called them disrespectful.
Yeah. I mean, this is not going to work long term for him to be. And I personally hated the decision in the first place. I think it should have been Sanders all along because there's at least some potential possibility of upside. But you add in this weird tension between the fan base and Watson, and that makes me even further believe you're right, Michelle. There's no way he's playing all year.
And also, like, the fans just have to be like, what's the point? There's no hope. Like, with starting Deshaun Watson, it's not like, even if he looks solid, right? Like, if he looks like a solid quarterback, he's still not going to be here in 2027. Like, he would have to win a Super Bowl, I think, to literally still be here. And even then, he might say, bye. Like, I don't like this franchise anyways, or this fan base. But, like, there is basically a negative probability he's with this team after this year, no matter what he does. So it just seems silly. I will say I'm excited for week 2, though, when he goes to face Baker Mayfield in Tampa Bay. Baker plays his best when he is angry. And
Yes.
man, like to get to face the guy, they haven't got to do this yet since, he got thrown out from the Browns. To get to face the guy they threw him out for, it's going to feel good. I have a feeling for Baker.
Yeah, Baker is a petty king, and I appreciate him for that. But the team that the Cleveland Browns are playing is the New England Patriots. And again, I'm going back to the old man telling people to get off my lawn here. Drake Maye needs to play in the preseason. Like, A.J. Brown is new. Drake Maye has new pieces on the offensive line in front of him. They didn't play that great at the end of the year last year. Anyway, their schedule is going to be a lot more difficult this year. Mike Vrabel is notorious for not taking the preseason seriously and not getting his starters ready to go. And he was also notorious in Tennessee for losing week 1. And what happened last year against the Raiders with Geno Smith? The Patriots lost week 1. Now, they bounced back, obviously, and went all the way to the Super Bowl. So that's no reason to worry, I guess. But it would just be nice for the Patriots to get off to a better start this year with the more difficult schedule. And I think Mike Vrabel maybe needs to play his starters a little bit in this preseason game.
Yeah, and not just one drive either. I'm sick of these, like, we're going to play our starters for one drive, and if it's 3 and out, it's a 3 and out. Then what was the point of even starting them? Oh, it drives me crazy. Like, if you're not going to have a certain amount of plays, no matter what it doesn't matter what the drives are, give them a set amount of plays. Whatever. I'll stop my rant there. But yeah, the start of the Patriots schedule, like, you're really going to have Drake Maye come out cold, not playing any live game action against the Seahawks, that Seahawks defense in the first game of the year. Again, like you said, like A.J. Brown's new, Romeo Doubs is new. He has these new weapons that he has to learn this connection with. And it doesn't get really much easier than the Steelers in week 2, at the Jaguars week 3, at the Bills in week 4. Like, rough first month. He needs to get some live action snaps for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I don't like the Vrabel method. I know he's trying to keep them healthy, but they need to hit the ground running this year with a more difficult path ahead of them. The next game that I want to talk about here is staying in the NFC West. Talking about the Seahawks. That's what made me think NFC West. Obviously, we're talking Patriots, but you guys know what I'm saying here. The San Francisco 49ers, who have been dealing with controversy this week, and we'll get an update on that controversy from our guys over at Locked On 49ers.
But now we have a new bit of bigger news for the San Francisco 49ers, and their acting owner, essentially, has been arrested and with charges beginning with prostitution in Ohio. No doubt Jed York probably has a pretty good lawyer to come in and help him, but unfortunately that word prostitution is already in there and is not going away. Also, what is not going away is the mugshot of Jed York, which will be a lasting image now for however long he's in control of the San Francisco 49ers.
Okay, this situation is just absolutely wild. And to me, it just continues to add to just a bad karma all season for the 49ers. Like, I literally 2 weeks ago, I did like a 49ers have bad karma narrative. You know what I mean? And then this happens. And it's like, the crazy part too is behind the scenes, it feels like the team is getting a little bit healthier.
There is a dark cloud over this 49ers team for whatever reason. But Jed York has been annoying me anyways as a 49ers fan. Like, he bought this soccer team. He's like not willing to spend money anymore because I don't think he has the cash to do it. So if he's forced to sell, I actually wouldn't mind as a 49ers fan because he's not been willing to spend money lately. Like, he was for a while there, and then he completely just ripped that out. And I don't know if it was because he felt like they weren't getting, they didn't get the Super Bowl win despite him spending the money, but he has flipped the switch here. And I just don't know if he even has the cash available that owners need right now in the NFL to truly compete and be top notch ever since he took over this other organization. So if he needs to go, that's fine. Bye.
Michelle, I don't know how much money he has, but apparently he had $140. So, regardless, the thing is, what I wanted to bring up though is like San Francisco, George Kittle was getting more acclimated. I don't know how to take the Christian McCaffrey. Are they just resting him, keeping him fresh? No need for him to do that. I feel like San Francisco has played really solid lately too. Like, they've been playing. I know that they put it on the Titans in their joint practice. Seemed like they did really well last week in their interactions as well. So I'm just looking at San Francisco like, I know they may seem rough around the edges right now, but are they actually just such a good football team that it's so stupid to doubt them?
Yeah, I mean, last year, look at all the injuries they had, and they still went 12-5, right?
Yeah.
I still think this offense will struggle a little bit, but with all their main weapons back, they have to be better than what they were last year. Especially, like, they had 20 sacks last year. That cannot happen again. But they get back Bosa, Michael Williams, Fred Warner. Like, they should be much better. And then I think Brock Purdy is a top 8 quarterback in this league. I think he's highly underrated and disrespected. So as long as they have Brock Purdy out there healthy, their rookie Deshaun Stribling looks so good. It's unfortunate they won't have Ricky Pearsall, but it does look like George Kittle will be back. The Christian McCaffrey thing is nerve-wracking, right? Because we had this happen in 2023 where it was like, he'll be fine. He'll be fine for week 1. And then all of a sudden week 1 comes around and he was not fine. So those are worries. But if CMC's out there, then they're going to win a lot of games.
Yeah, their team's just so good. If they stay even a little bit healthy early on, they're going to win out of the gate. But we are actually going to stay in the NFC West this time and talk about the Battle of Los Angeles, where the Rams and the Chargers take on each other. But the other side of this matchup is the Las Vegas Raiders. And it's probably going to be the last time that we see Fernando Mendoza, because they're going to put him on ice and let Kirk Cousins play. I'm annoyed by this, and that's really all I have to say about the Raiders is I'm annoyed by their decisions.
Oh, are we not going to break?
I mean, we can't see. You don't have anything to say about the Raiders either. Play Fernando Mendoza. I don't even want to talk about your team with Kirk Cousins leading the way. I'm annoyed. Do want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Odoo. Running a business shouldn't feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of systems that were never designed to work together. One app for accounting, another for inventory, another for sales. Somehow none of them talk to each other. That's where Odoo comes in. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that brings every part of your business together in one powerful platform, from sales to accounting to inventory and marketing. Everything works in one place. Odoo is a one platform system that allows you to manage, grow, and scale your business. The best organizations know that success isn't just about talent. It's about having everyone working towards the same goal. That's true in sports, just like it is in business. Great organizations win because operations matter. That's why you should get Odoo. Try Odoo. It's again, one platform system that allows you to manage, grow, and scale your business. Try it for free today at odoo.com/lockedon. That's odoo.com/lockedon. All right, Michelle, let's cap off today's edition of Locked On NFL, talking about the Thursday preseason slate. We've gone through a couple of different matchups at this point, one left, and it is the Battle of Los Angeles. We have the Los Angeles Rams against the Los Angeles Chargers, and these two teams are going in different directions right now. The Los Angeles Rams continue to be the Super Bowl favorites in the NFL, but the Chargers in a similar spot, dealing with injuries, especially on the offensive line. Tyler Biadasz is banged up. They've had some other guys be in and out of the lineup. It just seems like the same old with the Chargers, and I don't really know what the fix is. They just cannot stay healthy ever.
Yeah, it seems like a couple of these teams just always have bad injury luck, and I don't know if it's the practice routine or like how physical they are. Or
the medical teams.
The training
not all these
stuff.
teams have similar recovery and medical and, sports science departments. It's not all the same.
You would think the Rams and Chargers would, working out of the same facility, but maybe. Who knows? And now with the Chargers, like last week, this was a team that started their starters, but for 5 seconds because they went 3 and out and then they just took them out. It's like, I need to see them out there more. And I do think as long as Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt can stay healthy on this offensive line, it's going to be okay. Obviously you don't want, they have to figure out their center. It's not great to lose Tyler Biadasz like this, but if those two elite tackles, I mean, that might be the best tackle duo in the league when they're healthy. If they can stay healthy, I think that's huge. I'm excited to see Mike McDaniel's offense this year, but in the preseason, it's so hard to know and see what it's actually going to look like. So they're hiding stuff, right? It's just kind of a vanilla scheme here. And I don't think the Rams should be playing starters at this point. Like, I think there's enough veterans on this team where you're like, we trust you. Don't get out there. Don't risk the health.
I'm with you on the Rams. I'm not playing them at all. That's perfectly fine. Like, everybody knows the system. We'll be all right. But that Chargers offensive line, you're right. They're going to have to work together. They're going to have to figure something out. I think they had Jake Slaughter, the center out of Florida, initially in a guard spot. He can move over to center. I'm fine with that. But Cole Strange has been bad, and they've been trying to take one of the worst offensive tackles in the NFL. I mean, I guess, they like him in Los Angeles, but now they're trying to play him at guard, apparently. Our guys over at Locked On Chargers are talking about.
I don't understand why we're still doing this. Why are we still in the midst of this experiment that absolutely has failed from the very beginning with Trey Pipkins at guard? He is a serviceable swing tackle, and I think I'm probably being a little bit generous by saying that.
At his best, he is.
Yeah, he's played his best football at tackle. He has not played any kind of quality football at guard. So I just don't know why we're still doing this. But according to Mike McDaniel, we are. He said Trey's definitely still a factor in there. We're working out all of the sorts of the lineups to make sure we have the very best one for week 1.
I just don't like that they don't have it figured out yet. I know there's injuries and they're trying to work through different guys, but at some point you got to settle on a group and get ready for the actual season ahead.
Yeah, it's not ideal. And both of their guard situations right now don't look pretty. That's for sure. And then also, you don't even know what Jake Slaughter is going to be as a rookie. So the interior offense line is getting a little scary here. I'm wondering, like, Trevor Penning is still listed as a backup. Is he really that bad? I feel like he has to be better than Cole Strange, or moving Pipkins into a guard again. Like, he has to be better than that, right?
I would think so. I mean, you would think. I think that Trevor Penning obviously didn't work out as a tackle, but as just a physical guy inside, I know he didn't play well last year, but man, you got to give him a shot over the other options, one would think, because if that offensive line isn't good, it doesn't really matter what Mike McDaniel is cooking up. They're not going to be able to protect. They're not going to be able to run the football. And I know that Mike McDaniel likes athletic linemen, so maybe that's why they're not going with more of a bulkier guy like Penning, but at some point you just got to have the best 5 guys out there.
Yeah, and I want to see this offense thrive. Like, I want to see what the height of Justin Herbert can be when he is given time and has a good offensive play caller and has the weapons. It's like they can never just put it all together, though. It's infuriating.
Yeah, it is a frustrating team. Justin Herbert is kind of like the microcosm of the whole team. They have all this talent. You think they're going to be good, but it never quite gets to where you think it's going to be. But with that being said, that is going to do it for today's edition of Locked On NFL. Again, I am your host, the Madman, Tyler Rowland, with my co-host, the Data Queen, Michelle Majuk, as we tell you every single episode. Thanks for tuning in. Stay safe out there.
Bye, y'all.